Just here last night
Oh, you
for the school board meeting. We had our school board
Yeah.
meeting
popular, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay,
there. Yeah, I sat right there.
yeah. You see it right here.
That's all there is to it.
Good morning. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Before we get started, let me read through our role as a board and then kind of the format of today's meeting. We'll keep it as relaxed as we can, but we do have to have some order, to make it flow properly. We are the 2025 Board of Equalization and Review for Union County, and we have been appointed by the county commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with respect to concerns/complaints regarding the valuation of their property for tax purposes. Property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have a right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in a valuation dispute for tax purposes. So when we get started this morning, the clerk to my right will call the case per se, and then you as the taxpayer would come to the podium here, and the county staff will locate the property on the monitors so we're all looking at the same thing. There's books up here, and that information is the same thing that we're looking at. So at that time, you'll go ahead and present your information, and let's just please try to keep it to the facts, if you would. And after you present your information, members of the board will have a chance to ask questions of you, and then you'll have a seat. The county will do the same. They will present their information, and we'll have an opportunity to ask the county questions as well. When they're done, we will come back to you, for any rebuttal. The county will have that opportunity as well. Any questions during the hearing need to be directed to me as chairman. After we hear all the cases today, we'll go into the deliberation phase of the hearing. You're welcome to stay. We do not accept any questions from the taxpayer during that phase. If you're here, we ask something. If you respond, we give the county an opportunity to do so as well. Typically after that, after we render our decision, you'll be notified in writing within 30 days. By statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to demonstrate that the assessment is erroneous. And if you have sales data that you're bringing before us, keep in mind it needs to be as of 1/1/2025, because that is the date of the property reevaluation. So we can't be looking at sales data after that date. Only individual taxpayers or licensed residential or certified real estate appraisers licensed to do business in North Carolina may express an opinion of value of real property. No other persons, whether attorneys in fact, attorneys at law, or corporate representatives, are entitled to express an opinion of value of real property. If there are not any questions, if you would, make sure your cell phones are silenced, and we will get started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are going to start with hearing number 2 this morning for property key 01111007A. The taxpayer is Richard Philman, and he is present.
Okay. Mr. Philman?
This property's located in the northern part of the county. You would take 200 north, turn right on New Salem Road, and property's on the left just past Highway 218 roundabout.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I think this tax value is wrong. They took it from about approximately 700,000 to 1.4 million for property that my grandfather paid $800 for in 1942. All right, and I only have half of what he bought. The land, I have no road frontage. All the comps that were provided by the county are all have road frontage. I own no road frontage. Properties that do not have road frontage cannot be valued the same as properties that have road frontage. They're not worth the same. A lot of my land to the left, by where that water's going through, is all bottom land. It's not the same. I think this needs to be reduced by quite a bit, quite a bit. Everything else was provided. I provided comps. The instructions that we were initially given were not clear on the fact that anything that was dated to January and later did not apply. That really wasn't clear in the paperwork we were sent. And some of them that I provided were. I provided stuff that comps, and I provided property that was for sale that was a much better value than what the county's valuing my property at. I think it needs to be reconsidered. I don't really have much more to say. I've
Okay.
provided everything.
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have any questions, if you don't mind. Mr. O'Keefe,
No questions, I'll wait for the county.
Mr. Benson?
I have one question. When you say that you believe that the value should be way less, what, in your view, would you consider way less?
I could see valuing it all at 1 million. I mean, both parcels. I have two parcels. It was divided into two parcels. I could see that. That's an increase from 700 to 1 million. I could see that, but not from doubling it, from 7 to 1.4 million. When I say that, I combine both the parcels.
Yeah, so you're speaking to both right now, which are
Correct.
tabs 2 and 3?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, okay.
That's not practical. And as a tax-paying citizen, I mean, these taxes are going to double. If the rate increase doesn't increase, I'm not sure if it's increased or not.
There's always two components to it, the value and the rate, yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, you already got sleeping people out here in your courtyard. How many more do you want?
Okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Thank you.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is the access to this property?
The access?
Yeah, how do you access this?
I have a right-of-way
You have a right.
through somebody,
Right.
through John Brewer's property.
Okay. And is any of this truly agricultural? Was it all just forest land?
No, I have some of it in agriculture. I wish I could get more of it, but it's bottom land.
But I'm looking at page 2, which looks like it's mostly forest. Is the bottom land on page 3? The other parcel?
On I don't know what page 2 or 3 is, but on the,
The first one, this map here, is that basically just wooded land?
yes,
Okay, so the bottom land is on the next case technically, or next.
3. It would be 3, yes. Number 1, I do have in the ultra, or number 2, I guess, I have in the agriculture program.
But you're, from these pictures, it doesn't look like it's cropland, it's forest land mostly.
Mostly correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Anybody have any further questions? Okay, Mr. Philman, if you would have a seat now, we'll hear from the county. Okay.
Absolutely.
Like he was alluding to, there are two parcels involved here. I am dealing with the first parcel, which is the parcel with the house on it. He's got 32.59 acres with a house that was built in 2021. Because it's a unique parcel, I ran two separate analyses. One was sold homes within the time frame that we're looking at, and another was the actual land as far as land pricing. So if you refer to page 26 and 27, that's the actual home analysis with the land. The comps weren't quite as large in terms of acres. They were larger parcels. And then page 28 is the land analysis, which we took sold parcels within his neighborhood and compared based on acre size. And generally, you'll see the larger the parcel size in acres, the cheaper per acre it gets. So we do have a 45% discount on the flood that you see that runs right through the middle, which is 4.26 acres. So that part is discounted 45%.
So that's the aqua blue color?
Yes.
And there's the flood?
Correct.
Okay, questions for the county? Mr. Ashcraft, do you have any questions for the county?
Yes, so looking at the map, the 7A is all the big stuff at the top and down, and then is the next one, the house and where it's located? It says 7D, I'm trying to figure out where that house and stuff.
So 7A is the highlighted in blue, almost looks like a Z on there.
Yeah, okay, so that's 7A,
Correct. And that's the
And that-
parcel with the house.
and that has a house on it.
Yes, sir.
You got that
Is
red
it that
dot?
one on the corner right up there? Is this the house you're talking about? Or is it that, see, that's D, I don't know where house is.
I believe that's right, Mark. I believe it's the house that's just across the line.
It's right here, and he has right of way or something from, to get to that? Or is it this?
Mr. Ashcraft, I believe that's his property, his other parcel he's appealing, number 4. That's his other property that he
That's
owns.
tab 3.
That's tab 3, so he has access through it as
So
well.
he has this one, and 7A, and that's it? Or does he have more
And
property?
if that's not the home, the appellant can clarify it for us.
So the home is located right here. So it's the
Okay.
very front of the parcel.
Okay, but he owns 4 too, 004.
Yes.
All right. And that's, how many acres is in 078?
07A is 32.59.
With about 5-6 acres in flood, at 45% discount, is that what you said?
Correct, yeah, it's 4.26.
Okay.
We discount it at 45%.
All right. And the 4004, how many acres is that?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's part of the appeal, right?
Yeah, because it's in the agricultural program, it's with another county route.
That'll be the next hearing, the
Okay.
next one.
Question, on the acreage that you used for the comps, were they cropland or were they more similar to this being mostly forested land?
They would be similar to what his property is. Generally, when we run analysis like this, if it's in the ag program, we'll pull parcels, that are used for that.
So would the value per acre roughly of what you're assigning this be similar to the one at the bottom left? That is, was it 08? That's wooded right below the
Yes.
areas that go below where the flood is, down that end of it, there's several parcels there. Are they comparable in value to what y'all assign?
Yes,
this way?
yes. That one, the one below it would be a little bit less because there is more flood
Right. But
impact
the
on
one
that.
beyond that,
Yes.
because I look at the croplands on both sides, and they should be worth more, I would think. I call it scrub forest, to look at what I see on this picture. That's my question.
If I may, Mr. Smith, that's not scrub forest. That's in the forestry program, and he's managing it. He's managing it for forestry program, yes, sir.
So if it's managed under that way, it's forest, it should have forest value assigned to it, correct?
I believe that is correct.
That's all I needed.
And it looks like what comp 1 is just next door, evidently, that sold in June of '23.
Correct.
Okay.
And just to clarify for Mr. Smith, if you're in forestry, and you apply for the program, you get a reduction in your, the amount that you're assessed on.
Right.
And so that's how that works.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
In these pictures, it's difficult to tell what
Yes.
the land really is.
Yes, sir.
Some of it looks like it could be pretty decent forest land, some could be something that's hadn't grown up much, if you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
There's 30 years to get there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Mr. Benson, any question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Marshall, you use the word unique, and what usage of this word unique do you assess to this property, and explain that to me. What makes it unique and why?
Unique in that we don't have a lot of sales on this large a parcel, so it's a little more challenging to find, comparative comps, sold comps within that time period.
So the comps that we did find, how compatible would you say they are?
Well, I'd say vary. I mean, we did have to go out, I think I went out 5 miles. Generally, we like to stay within the neighborhood. In a rural setting like this, it's a little more challenging. So I would say, within a 5-mile radius is a pretty good indicator of value.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Keefe?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Will. Mr. Philman, if you would, just so we can keep the order correct, I need for you maybe to come up and speak to the next parcel as well. Because we're,
I'm going to call hearing
Yeah.
number 3,
yeah,
which is also for taxpayer Richard Philman. This is for property key number 01114004.
And just so y'all are aware, this is the parcel that's connected to the one Mr. Marshall just spoke about, ending in 004.
yeah. And I know you've probably already spoke to it, but you're welcome to add any comments to this specific parcel, okay?
Something was said by this gentleman that I've never heard before,
Right.
that you're supposed to get a tax break or tax rate at a forestry program. I know nothing about this, and I don't even know if my land is in that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can have him explain that a little further to you, but I mean, you could enroll in what we call the agricultural component of it. And and I know with the forestry piece, as long as there's a forestry plan, that has to be reviewed and approved by the county. So, I mean, I could have Mr. Marshall let you know what you need to
I
do
would
and see,
appreciate that.
and see if it qualifies, forward as far as the number of acres that are in the program. Do you have a forestry plan?
Yes.
Do you? Okay. Okay. And then roughly how many acres are in the forestry plan? Just roughly, I mean,
I would say 20,
okay.
maybe, I'm guessing.
That amount of acreage qualify, Mr. Marshall? Or is
Brett
that,
could speak to that.
yeah? Okay,
See, this gentleman here is talking about the 32 or 34 acres or whatever.
right.
This gentleman here is talking about the 16.77 acres. That has nothing to do with the forestry program.
Right.
The 16.77. So I don't understand why he knows about this, but he don't.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're two different,
Well,
they
and-
join together, but they're two different lots.
yeah, we can have the county maybe speak to that, and it might be one's deemed agriculture and the other's deemed residential, and therefore we have, the county has specialists in each area, and that might be the reason
Well,
why.
my 16.77 acres is in the farming program.
Right.
The farming agriculture program, I guess, but not the forestry. It is in that.
So
I know
you're
for sure.
already, okay, you're already in that program, which is the same thing.
The farming program.
Right,
Not
right.
the forestry agriculture.
I'll have the county speak to that, but I think you're okay in that respect, okay?
And as somebody mentioned, I don't remember who, my aunt's property that was sold, that these other people unfortunately bought, not me, sold for $680,000, I believe it was. within the last year, year and a half. And they're valuing my 16.77, because when my grandfather died in 1968, every kid got 16.77 acres. I own 3 shares now, the only one in the family that owns any. My aunt's property that was sold back in 23, I forget, June or whatever they said, I don't remember.
Is that the Cappy Lane property?
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
on Cappy Lane.
Yeah.
Correct. It sold for $680,000. It's got a big, beautiful home on it. And they're valuing my 16.77 acres at $840,000, if I remember right. 800 and something thousand. That's a huge difference.
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have questions for you. Mr. O'Keefe?
Not right now, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Benson?
We're talking property, the third appeal, right?
Right, yeah, 004.
No, I'll wait for the county.
Okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
You mentioned about your aunt's land selling 2-3 years ago. Is it on the map anywhere around there? Since
Yes,
it's
you
all-
see it.
Can you-
It's that triangle-shaped piece that's cuts like into my land.
Is there a number for that? Does anybody have any idea?
Oh,
what-
yeah, there's a number. It's ends in 7B, or is it 7-8?
Gotcha.
7B,
It
okay.
has to be bigger.
Does anybody see it?
So
It'd be
it's
to the-
kind
yeah, I
of
got it.
north.
You see where mine's circled in blue?
Yeah.
That's my 16.77 acres.
All right, so where do I go from there? Over to what?
Up and over.
Go straight up towards the top and you see that triangle-shaped piece?
Okay.
That was my aunt's 16.77 acres.
And she sold it for how much?
Oh,
You
my
said
uncle
2-3?
sold it after she died for $18,000 or $20,000.
Oh,
That was a long time ago, and it's been sold several times.
okay, then I assume you were talking about the tax assessment value on it?
No,
Was
it
it
sold, her property sold for $680,000 within the last year, year and a half.
7B did.
I'm sorry?
7B did, the one?
Yes.
triangle.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And that has a lot of floodage in that, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. And this property here, my uncle's property, that's like the rectangle adjacent to my 16.77 acres, is sold, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years ago for I think it was $30,000. $430 or $440.
Okay.
And it's got a big, beautiful pond, big house, huge outbuilding.
So that 7B, 007B that your aunt used to, there is a house on it, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How does she get to her house? If she-
Through Cappy Lane. When the man bought it,
Oh, okay, I see Cappy Lane down
Yeah,
here.
yes,
So-
and he put in that road, Cappy Lane, so he could, Shelley Martin from the county, who is a big landowner,
All right,
he bought it for nothing from my uncle and my cousin. He bought my uncle's share from my cousin.
yeah.
And he put that road in there. He bought them lands for like $18,000 a piece, put that road in there and turned around and sold them for $80,000 to a developer
Okay.
who built these homes on this land and sold them for more money, and they've continually gone up.
Okay. I think I'm good on it now, thanks.
Mr. Smith?
Like, I guess it's just really, there's two components. One is the true land value, and then two is the home value, because it seems like there's no discrepancies between, could be discrepancies between the homes that are on the properties to drive value or not. So I'd like to hear from the county on that part of it. when we get-
Yeah, and I had a question kind of along that same line, because I don't, on this one there's no home on it. Are there some improvements on
On which one?
004?
I think there's a house on it.
Yeah, there's a house.
What is that?
I thought the house was on the other one.
Oh, no,
Well,
that's
it's
not
on
a
part
big,
of the
beautiful
other.
home on 004.
That's your home?
No, that's my uncle's property. Am I reading that right?
Oh, we don't.
The-
Oh, yes, there's a home on my property.
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't somebody speak to it a minute ago that the home was on the property line?
Well, that was for the other lot.
That's
Yeah.
the other
That
property.
was for
Okay.
the other lot.
That's, yeah.
That's
My,
what.
my father, I own it, but my father lives in that little four-room old-timey looking farmhouse. He's gonna be 92,
Okay.
and he lives across my backyard.
So that's what I'm speaking to. Right there,
Yes, that's my father's house.
a house,
Yes, sir.
and then that's a house.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's houses on both? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good,
Page 12 shows the house, right?
yeah.
This looks like a pretty nice house.
Yeah. Built.
Right, right,
It's a more modern house. compared
Right.
to-
there you go.
Yes, it is.
I wasn't looking at the picture, I was just looking at the aerial. Okay. Okay,
All right.
Mr. Benson, you good?
I'm good.
Mr. O'Keefe?
I will wait for the county. I want to get to the land value is what I want to number.
Okay. Mr. Philman, if you don't mind, we'll have the county speak to this parcel. Sorry about the
Okay.
confusion there, too, okay?
Okay,
I
no
think we're
problem.
all good, we're all on the same page, so.
Thank you.
All right. So before I start, just to clarify, the parcel that we're talking about right now is the 004.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Philman, his main house is right here. He has a pool and then some outbuildings surrounding the parcel. The parcel prior that Mr. Marshall was speaking to, the dwelling is right here, as Mr. Philman said, across his backyard where I believe his father lives. So the reason these parcels are split, Mr. Marshall, he did the first one because it's not within the present use value program. I handle all the parcels that are within the present use value program.
Right, that's,
So just want to make sure everybody's clear with the structures and just why it's split between two appraisers. But with this appeal, I ran it, land sales, his tract is 16.77 acres. I pulled land sales from 14.6 acres to 23.22 acres, and the median price per acre was $17,979 per acre. And we currently have Mr. Philman valued at $17,317 an acre, which shows that we're right in line with all the land sales that are selling in the Piedmont School District. To look at the second part of it, adding in the house.
Brent, that's page 21.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, it's- yeah.
And then starting on page 22 is just the comparable sales analysis. And all the homes that were used are within, it looks like, about 5 miles from the property. Some of the sales have 12 acres, some 16, but it brings back a value of $886,800. And we currently have Mr. Philman valued at $845,000 for the land, dwelling, and all the structures. So I did not see where a change would need to be made in either the land or the dwelling for this parcel. And he did supply sales, and I spoke with him on the phone about it. Some of them were sold after January 1 of 2025, and most of his sales were from the Forest Hill School District, and we like to try to stay within the same high school just because that can affect the value.
and to his question, there's nothing he needs to do between forestry and the present use value. That's,
Well, this parcel, he is in the agriculture program.
Right.
I'll be glad to speak with him after the meeting. If he has a forestry program, I can speak with him on that parcel. But since Mr. Marshall is handling that one, I have not reviewed that parcel, but it leads me to believe that there is not a forestry plan that the county currently has.
right, right.
But I will be glad to speak with him after and explain the whole process, all the acreage.
Just
and
make
what-
sure we're
Yes, sir.
all on the same page there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Questions for the county, Mr. Benson,
No, I'm good.
Mr. O'Keefe?
Just, you came to a value of $17,318 an acre based on the analysis that we're looking at on page 21.
Well, the $17,317 an acre, that's the value that was used when we did the revaluation for this part of Piedmont. I came up, that's what we used, the 17,979
Got it.
is specifically looking at acreage similar to his. Just kind of to double check to make sure we are in line to see if there's any adjustment that needs to be made.
Got
But
it.
everything's so close that supports our value, so I was not recommending an adjustment.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith?
No question.
Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. Any final comments, Mr. Philman?
Yes,
I need for you to come forward.
yes. From what I said at the very beginning, his assessment is all on road frontage property sales. I do not own any road frontage. Property that does not have road frontage is not valued the same as property that sits on the road. I live a quarter of a mile off the road. You can see that little green, little narrow part that goes up there. The road goes at the end of that tree line,
Yes,
the driveway. I have
Yeah.
a right-of-way,
yes.
no road frontage.
Okay.
So I do not think that the property, my land, is valued the same as what he's quoting.
Okay.
I
Understood.
disagree with that.
Yeah. Understood. Now, you have access, but you don't have road frontage.
Correct.
Understood. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right, we'll
All
be
right.
moving on to hearing number 4.
Yeah, Madam Clerk, before you do that, Mr. Chairman, quick question for the
Yeah.
county.
Yes, okay.
Is that something that you take into consideration when you looking at comps? Road
What?
frontage, not road frontage?
I mean, based on everything we've seen, we have not seen a difference when it comes, if they have access, it seems like the sales and everything follow in line. We haven't seen no substantial change where we feel like an adjustment's needed.
Okay, so in an overall view of that particular appraisement, road frontage didn't play a role in your analysis?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Question, how wide is the right of way? You know,
I do not know that offhand.
I'm just curious how wide it is
Yes, sir.
for access, because the wider it is, the more equal it becomes.
That's not it.
30 foot, 16 foot? How wide is the access?
The access is right here.
Well, it's the one that has the nice road on it.
I'm not positive.
So I mean, the driveway is probably about 14, 15 foot, but Mr. Philman just stated that he has a 30-foot right-of-way.
30 foot.
That's a
Okay.
nice road.
Yeah, it's
Any additional questions for Kim? Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you. All righty.
All right, we will move on to hearing number 4. This is for property key number 01060013A. The taxpayer is Sean and Rodney Simpson, and they are present.
Okay.
And then just to locate this parcel, it is on the northeast part of the county off of Fish Road, just north of like New Salem, 218 area.
Okay.
I know.
Mr. Simpson? Ms. Simpson?
Morning, how
Good-
y'all doing?
Doing fine. How about you?
Good, good. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and
to,
if you could speak, yeah.
Present this.
Yeah.
I brought I don't know if y'all's pages are the same as this. I got a little PowerPoint. Yes, it was.
Hold on, just, yes.
I believe that
We have
is
that,
tab 4, page 12.
page 12.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
12.
Got it.
Okay.
Everybody good?
Yes, we're with you.
Okay, if you look down at the bottom, you'll see Rodney and Sean. You can see this land in yellow and red. This is the land we're gonna be discussing, which you can see it in the blue on the TV screen. But I wanna give a little bit about the history of this and how you get to the property. So if you go all the way up at the top, you can see Fish Road here. So
Yes.
you-
Yep.
You come down Tyler Burris's driveway, this is his personal driveway, this is an easement, I do not have a right-of-way to this property. So you have to use his personal driveway, which is 544 feet. And then you come around the curve and now you're on Peggy Balcom's property. And if you can see this, it says wet and rutted area. That area right there in the wintertime, between all the combines, trucks, tractors, all that, it gets rutted up so bad that my son had a four-wheeler and a trailer in his truck, and the trailer got bottomed out there, so he had to unload the four-wheeler and push on the trailer to get his truck out. So I'm just, which I told him not to ever do that, but again, this is how bad this road is going into this property. So if you come on around the curve, and you can see Yalla and the ponds. So there's a pond on the one side of the driveway, so the water runs down, goes across the road. So this is another wet area, and then about 100 yards down, there's two ponds down there. So one's on the left side of the road, one on the right side of the road. Of course, the one on the left side of the road going in will overflow and run across the road. So there's another flooded area. So about 50 feet on up, you're going up a hill and then you're coming back down. And then you get into real rutted areas. So, and all this is Peggy Balcom's property, which is 3,159 feet that I have to drive on her property to get to ours. So now you're into this rutted area, and this is bad enough that I have broke a tie rod in on my truck before. So you come on down, and then now you got another wet area where, where the ruts run into, and then now it's a wet area. And again, you make another turn, and it's about 50 yards, and you go through a whole another wet area to get to our area, which this is Kevin Balcom's at 2,175 feet. So in total, to get from Fish Road to our property is 5,000, get my glasses on here, 5,879 feet, which is equals to 1.11 miles off the road that we had to get to our property. So with this, just to give you a little history with this land, if you're looking at all this that's Kevin and Candy and Rodney and Sean, all this property right here used to be one parcel. It was 166 acres at the time. So it got divided up in 55.4 acres. Three parcels, 55.4, 55.4, 55.4. Well, our tax value on this land was 137.5. And then I got an increase of 426. Well, these other two parcels, the middle or the top part, this is the prime land, the very top part up here, when all this was one parcel. So this is very prime land, good farmland, and the Garborough's on this. And it was 55.4 acres. And the next part, I heard the other gentleman talk about Shelley Martin. Well, he buys, sells land, grades it and all that. I'm sure most of you know him. Well, he owned this land here. So that was Shelley Martin that owned it. So in don't hold me exactly to these dates, but I know I'm real close. I think around November of 2022, he had some people, they went in there and appraised this land, and he sold 55.4 acres at $245,000. So now it's, and he sold it to Kevin Balcom. So now it's, the Garborough owns 55, you can tell I'm nervous, can't you?
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
The Garborough's own 55.4 acres, and now the Martin sold it to Kevin Balcom, so he owns 55.4. Well, the next year in 23, I think around May, the Yarboroughs decided to invest in some other property, so they sold their property here for $265,000. This is in 2023. So when this land got divided up, it got divided up equal acreage. It did not get divided up by equal value. So that's the easiest way to do it, and that's how it went down. So this top part of this property, if you see that purple line going through, that's roughly the difference between the Yarboroughs and the Martins and then us. And again, that's a rough line. But, so in the end of 2022, the parcel up above me, which is good land, it's not the best, but this is the top, medium, and bottom. So we have the bottom of the pit of this property. So they sold it for $245,000, and then the next year, the Yarborough sold to Kevin Balcom also. Of course, that's his mom and him that owns all the land around it for $265,000. But then I get a letter in the mail saying that my property, this bottom of the pit down here, is worth $426,000, and this just got sold in '23. I just thought that was a little excessive. So anyway, after I talked to Brent, I said, well, half that land is in the flood zone. So, which actually is, that is the flood zone picture that, again, I say is not accurate.
Yeah.
So anyway, they went back and reviewed it, and they come back at $370,800, which I still think is too high with everything I had to go through to get to this property. So if you would, we'll flip to page 2. Again, this is actually the picture that you're looking at. This is the FEMA picture.
Well, let's go back to why we're talking about the property, just,
If you could, make sure
Because we're
you're
here.
speaking to the mic.
yeah, just because we're here. Basically, just to add on to what he said, you know, like, the road that we have to get in here, you do have to have like an all-terrain four-wheel drive vehicle to get here. And going through all these property owners, and we have major issues with one of these property owners. We have had to go to a lawyer several times because he puts like chains up, will not let us get to our property. This is like on a monthly basis, weekly basis. Like, he tries to block us out of our property, which I know that has nothing to do with value, but it's very, that would go along with this part of it too. Yeah, okay.
So if you would, page 2, the FEMA. So this is the FEMA flood zone showing 19.8 acres.
That's
Looks like-
actually going to be page 13 in your book.
Do I need to flip over here so I can, you got it? So it looks like the last update in the FEMA flood map service was in 2008. All the land inside this red line needs to be added to the FEMA and showing the everyday rain, not the heavy storms of the hurricane. Inside the red line is where the water levels from the Hurricane Florence in 2008. So you can see here where I added the red line of where I have seen flood that this is not on the FEMA. And then I really don't understand this down here in the bottom. For some reason, this don't flood. Why has FEMA got it set up like this? Because it's the same elevation. I don't know if the trees are taller and made them from the sky say, oh, we don't want to, I don't know, I don't get
Right.
that. But if you would, if you'll flip back and forth through that page and the next page, if you'll see the number 1 here, this location number 1, this is the picture of number 1 where it's flooded.
The crops on that property, like, yearly get damaged because of the flood. Like, it's in the the farm program, but.
I need for you to
we
speak, to the
Yeah,
mic if
We
you.
constantly have issues with like crop damage because of the water.
Okay.
Okay, the picture down here at the bottom, if you'll look at this FEMA map again, right here at number 2, that's where I took the picture. So if you just looked at that FEMA map and you said, hey, I want to build a hay barn down here in the bottom of this field, and if you trust FEMA, you could do that. But now this picture down here is number 2. You can see the bushes right here. Right here is where I took the picture. And if you look across this, you can see the pine trees over here. So you can see that this whole field is flooded.
Right.
And this is not the, this field floods several times. Now, again, FEMA is, I personally don't like the way it's set up. It is designed, or everything that I'm seeing with this parcel is, it's set up for everyday rainstorm. It ain't set up for floods and heavy rainstorms. So, so if you take the red lines that I have on that FEMA deal that I have added here. If you go to the next page, which is this one, this is showing the extra 5.5 acres that's needing to be showed in the FEMA flood zone. FEMA flood zone is only showing the everyday rainstorm. Heavy rainstorm, hurricane, water lines needs to be added to the FEMA and the tax value. So I pinged every bit of that and this other part that I, again, don't understand. So anyway, I come up with 5.5 acres that should also be in the flood zone. So with that being said, if you would flip another page, this top picture, that picture you have up there doesn't show it like
Yeah,
this.
we got it in our notebook, though. We got notebooks here that's got the same, yeah.
Okay, you can see the property line all the way around this, all right? This is showing that we have 5.35 acres of water land that should be exempt from this property tax. So, the red area right here is the only spot on our property that is showing the line at the end of our property. Everything else is showing that we own the whole creek. So, one that sort of bothers me, if I own the whole creek, and if somebody happens to go fishing and falls and drowns, can they sue me?
Well, and these aren't exact property lines, because it's not a survey. I mean, you'd have to have a bona
Well,
fide survey.
I have it surveyed, and it's
Right.
the same exact way.
Yeah, so
'Cause
your survey shows that you own the creek.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It sure does. So, and that's what I was getting at
A
is,
recent survey too.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I was getting at is that this land was divided by acres. It was not divided by value. And in the survey, which was in 22, 23,
23.
yeah, it's identical to this. I wished I'd have it now, but I didn't even think about it. So anyway, I went and pinged all the creek. So it's showing that I own 5.35 acres of water, the creek. And I personally feel like that ought to be adjusted off my taxes. I shouldn't be paying for this creek that I don't really even want. That causes a lot of problems. But, so I got my numbers messed up. But anyway, if you'll hold on to page 5, but anyway, go to page 6, a little bit that my wife was talking about. This is, I'm not gonna read it because it's not really everybody's business, but this is just proof showing that we have went to the lawyer and we've had issues with one of the landowners that's trying to block the road, parking cars out, running cables, and harassing. And I have texts and everything else if y'all would personally like to see it. Anyway, I'm just providing proof that not only is it you got to have a four-wheel drive vehicle to get down there, you got a lot of aggravation to go to your property.
Right.
So, now if you go to page 7, if you look at this, the rock cliffs on both sides of this property showing lengths to the top to the creek. So if you have page 5 and page 7 together, you can see number 1 here. This is the location for number 1. So, this is a 135-foot cliff, a rock cliff. So now if you would go to the other side of the property, which would be number 2 on page 5, the blue 2, which is 2 on page 7. From the top of that hill to the bottom of that creek, that is a 165-foot cliff. Now, it's unusable land. If you repel and you're into that and want to jump over snakes, it might be worthy, but it's really not to me. But so if you'll flip to the next page, I pinged that, and that is 4.85 acres of rock cliffs just on the creek bank. There is a lot more cliffs on this property. I don't have a good way to measure this. In the middle of this, right behind here, there's another cliff there that goes straight down in a big V. I wish I'd have took some pictures, but again, I don't have a good way to measure it. So I added 4.82 acres for cliffs. So if you go to the very last page, just to sum up everything that I went over, page 1, this parcel is landlocked, and we only have easement to our land. We have to go through 3 property owner lands to get to our property. The first landowner's driveway is 544 feet. We have to keep this landowner's driveway scraped and rocked. The second landowner road, we have to use 3,159 feet. The third landowner drive is 2,175 feet. The second and the third landowner has rutted out, muddy, flooded, and wet farm roads that will need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get through this road. The driving distance for this property is 5,879.34 feet, or 1.11 miles to get to our property. Page 2, this is showing FEMA flood zone, which is set up for everyday rain, not for heavy storms or hurricanes. Looks like it was last updated in 2008. Page 3, picture showing how crops get destroyed during the heavy rainfall and causes major flooding on the land. This also shows that it sees past FEMA's flood zone. Page 4, this is showing actual flood line when we had the heavy storms and hurricane. So page 5 is showing the property lines that goes across the creek banks. It is showing that we have 5.35 acres of creek water that should be exempt from property tax. Page 6, we deal with constant phone calls, texts almost every single time we go to this land by one landowner. This particular landowner is constantly trying to block the road and putting up gates or chains across the road. So this is, we had to go to lawyer, and it's causing more expense to us. The extra note, our property, this parcel, would never have power on or water due to the other property owners not agreeing for the power poles or lines to go across their property to get to ours. So the farmer will never allow us to put power poles in his crop field. Extra note, our property, this parcel, has very steep rock cliffs to the creek, which includes a lot of acres. There's not a good way to measure this. However, this should be deemed as unusable land. This is why 24.7 acres on this chart below has always kept a constant value around $5,000. So the value that I feel is appropriate, I have 24.75 acres of land listed at $5,000, which is $123,750. FEMA property should be at 25.3, which is at $3,000, which would equal 75.9. And then creek water, 5.35, I think should be exempt, which is a total of 55.4 acres at $199,650.
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have questions for you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Smith?
Nope.
Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Benson?
So, yes, Mr. Chairman, so you're saying even though the.
Might want to get closer to the mic. Belma was giving you a look.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Mr. Simpson, you're saying that even though the county lowered it to 378, you believe it should be in the area of 199.65?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And part of that reason is when you take that whole parcel that I was showing you, and it was divided in 3 portions, again, that top part was prime land, the next part was good, and then ours is at the bottom of the pit. Ours should never exceed what the other 2 did that got sold in '23. And then the tax value that I got was almost the same as these 2 parcels. So that was 110 acres. It's like, I disagree.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you.
Mr. O'Keefe?
No questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. and Ms. Simpson, if you don't mind, if you would have a seat, and we'll let the county present their information. I'll circle back to you if there are any additional comments you'd like to make.
All right. I've had multiple conversations with Mr. Simpson in regards to this property.
Right.
This tract is 55.382 acres. Looking at sales in the New Salem area between 43 acres to 88 acres, the price per acre is $9,637 per acre. We currently have Mr. Simpson valued at around $6,695 an acre, which is coming in below that. We do use the FEMA's floodplain, and we have 19.8758 acres listed with FEMA. And the adjustment made from 426,100 to 370,800 was after having a conversation with Mr. Simpson. Seeing the no access, that's when that was applied to make that adjustment for them. And on page 32, I provided, which you can see on the monitor too, it's just the FEMA floodplain. And then on page 33, I had the FEMA floodplain, and I know he spoke about the topography issues near the creek. I left the floodplain on there so you can see it is sloping down to the creek in that area, which it is very typical in that area. And when reviewing all these surrounding parcels around this, no parcels out there are receiving any adjustment for topography. And I did not make a change because a lot of the area where it's sloping down is already within the floodplain, so it's already getting adjustment on that standpoint. But I know he spoke about the flooding around that area. And to stay consistent, we do treat everyone the same and use the FEMA floodplain layer. To my understanding, they are currently updating the layer. And whenever that does come out, if any adjustments needed when that layer is provided, we would be making those adjustments as necessary.
That was probably my main question, was the topo on it, because it just looked like it had some real tight lines, which would be real steep along that floodplain.
Yes, sir.
That's not in the floodplain.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay.
And the issue with topo, I know we've had a case about this as well. It's just so subjective. Even if you have two parcels and perfectly flat land, you can get a much different price per acre for both those. So it's hard to say how much it really does affect it. And with this one, it is very typical in that area along that creek, and none of these surrounding properties are receiving adjustment. And I know he spoke about the sales from the Yarboroughs, I believe it was. None of those transactions from the deeds I found was like 100% interest giving up, so we were unable to use any of those sales. So that's why I pulled the sales that I did to look at our acreage, and it looks like we were below basically after the flood and the no access, and that's why I was recommending no adjustment on this parcel. No further adjustment than the $370,800.
Right. Okay, see if members of the board have any questions. Mr. Smith?
Explain more, you said something about not giving up 100% interest that you threw out those sales that were right up adjoining or above.
Like the percentage that, so it has to be an arm's length transaction, and it's got to be 100% for the sale for us to be able to use that sale. And in that portion, in that part of the sale, 100% was not given on each of it, so we cannot consider it
100% of what?
the property. It was a divided interest between that parcel. And so we were unable to use those sales because we don't know the amount that's actually being sold.
Mr. Smith, he's talking about the ownership
Right,
interest.
okay, I understand, but I just seems there ought to be some reasonable value given to something like that. I know when the Pillins died, it carries a lot of weight.
Mr. Smith, do you mind to talk more into the mic? We're having a hard time hearing you.
No, I just said that, you can tell from the conversation that the appellant put significant weight on those sales. Because they believe them to be, let's say, reasonably arm's length sales. Even though he said it was divided ownership.
Yes, sir.
One
And-
buying out the other, I don't know the details.
Yes, sir, and I mean, and that's why we're here today. If y'all think an adjustment needs to be made, I made all the adjustments I felt like I could make from my standpoint. And then if y'all feel like another adjustment needs to be made, y'all are more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, 'cause-
Brad?
Brent, did you mention that the property's being given off for no access already?
Yes, that's the reason we made the change from 426 to the 370, 800. Yes, sir.
Mr. Ashcraft?
How many sales have you had in that area?
The cells that I was able to find in the acreage frame, I used 3, just because this tract is 55.382 acres, and I used these cells for 43 all the way to 88. Just when you get the larger tracts, a lot of times you're not gonna have a ton of cells, specifically for that.
And I've got a question for you. He brought up the creek that's in his land, and it's like, I don't know, 5 acres of it, the length of it.
Yes, sir.
Has the county ever dealt with the problem of having a creek, thing like that?
I mean, a lot of parcels will have creeks on it. A lot of times you'll see that in the floodplain. So they are getting an adjustment on this one. It should be 45% for all the
Okay.
area that's within the floodplain. And the floodplain overall for the FEMA acreage is the 19.8758 acres. We're given that adjustment for the 45%.
And then on the sales that he brought up, those properties, right, that lead down to his property, those above, what's the assessed value for those properties by the county on that land?
I mean, I do not have that information in front of me. So I can't provide that, but if it's the similar acreage, I mean, I do not have that information at hand, just because I do not have access to it right now.
Okay, well, maybe we need to get some access to surrounding properties, and
Mis-
what the assessment is on the new values.
Mr. Ashcraft, I will say that they are all valued by the same model. All things being equal, they'd have the exact same value. So if some had more flood than others, they would have a lesser value on it, but the overall starting point would be exactly the same for another property the same size.
And that's why I was trying to go up from where he was saying how bad it is that sold for whatever price and it's not usable. But what's the assessed value? And then you move up to the next one, and one's better than the other one, and less flooding and all that, I understand. I don't have any more questions.
I think where I am is with the topo on it, and I agree with the taxpayers. I think it's going to always be farmland. And if you've got that steep of a grade, and some of that is farmland, it's unusable for them. I mean, you know, and I think that might be where the adjustment, if one's made, would go. But
I guess
that's,
my other question would be the little, it looks like an island on the flood map. There's several lot of acres out there that I assume you counted as high land in your assessment.
Are you talking about the circled area for the FEMA area that's not filled in?
Yeah, the little, it looks like an island on the FEMA map.
Yes, sir. I mean, we go off the FEMA's layer, and whatever they have is the adjustment we make for the flooded property.
that's all you can use.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
And I
all you
mean,
can
That's
use.
what we have to
I
do.
understand
Yeah.
that, but I would say.
It is
access
odd.
to it is way off.
It's odd.
It's odd,
yeah.
and it would be, I assume, very difficult to have any usable value for it.
Yeah, I just wondered if that was higher ground. I mean, if it mounds up, you know, there or
It
something.
could be,
Yeah.
it ends up being a knoll, a
Yeah.
major creek, it's
Mm.
not farmable or anything.
Right.
Because you see the main body there looks like what's, you know,
Yeah.
usable land until you get to the steep cliffs.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that little parcel out there, I would recommend we give benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah.
Whatever that few acres is.
Yeah.
If that's the way y'all decide to go in deliberation, then we could definitely give off the same percentage as if it was flood.
Right.
Honestly, that's just my opinion of looking at usable.
That'd be a good, yeah. Okay. Mr. Benson, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brett, that adjustment that you spoke about, is that included in the your reduced rate of 370.80 already?
Yes, sir. So it had no access on a portion of it, and the part that it didn't, that's giving no access for the entire parcel. So the adjustments that are given, it's 35.5062 acres is receiving the adjustment for no access, and the remaining 19.8758 acres is receiving an adjustment for the flood area along with no access.
Okay. Yes, I'm looking at this, I'm trending in that same vein,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, just to confirm, you answered the question I was going to ask.
Yes,
with- With the land, but it's 19.875 acres are FEMA rated.
Correct.
Assessed at the FEMA rate,
Yes,
less
sir.
45%.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right,
thank you, Mr. Smith. Okay. Mr. and Ms. Simpson, any final comments you'd like to make? As you can see, we've had a lot of discussion, so we're, okay.
I'll just add, I heard your comment about the little island there. That is the same elevation. I don't understand it. I know that property and the next parcel and the next parcel like the palm of my hand. 'Cause
Right.
I hunted a lot. Again, FEMA is wrong there, and I really think that the FEMA needs to be added to this, to my equation, and I still don't think I should be paying for 5.35 acres of the creek, and I don't even think that should even be on the FEMA part.
Yeah.
That's what's causing the FEMA part.
Yeah, typically, the creek's gonna be in the floodplain, though.
Yes, yeah, but I think it's wrong for me to pay in 5.35 acres of creek water.
Yeah,
And I might add too, like, these, this whole like horseshoe or boot looking, that was my grandmother's property. And, all these people who own it now are like second cousins, family, they're farmers, so we gave them the best land. But I wanted to keep a little bit because the other family members, they sold out to the second cousin farmers. But I wanted to keep a little bit of my grandmother's land, so we kept the bad land, and this is definitely bad land, and it should definitely not be the same value as these two, because this is prime crop land, much better land. This is just flood land, that's all it is,
Bottom
and it's hilly.
Yeah.
And I just do not understand how that can be valued the same as these top two.
okay. We're gonna take that into consideration during the deliberation
Right.
phase.
Thank
okay?
you.
Thank you all very much. Any further comments from the county? If not, we'll move on. Okay.
All right, we're going to jump to hearing number 9. This is for property key number 06069342. The owner is Hollyhock 1 Revocable Living Trust and Hollyhock 2 Revocable Living Trust. And Mr. Carmen Iui is here.
Okay. And
Morning, everybody.
good morning.
Morning.
Mom, thank you for being here and allowing me to present it. Oh,
You
sorry.
need to talk in the mic, yes.
So we're locating the property first, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Jay, if you will, locate the property for the board members. If you will, locate the property.
Yeah, it's parcel number 060694342. Should be right there. It's highlighted in blue.
Okay. What part of the county is
Yeah,
this in?
where is it?
This is across from Twin Lakes. It's,
In the Weddington Wesley Chapel area?
yeah, I've got a map up here. Let me see, page 8.
Page 8.
It's across from Twin Lakes, I guess it's west
Page
of
9
Chapel or
would
the
be-
county, one or the other.
Yeah, it's
Can you widen the thing?
Waxhaw Indian Trail Road, Antioch Church Road, it's right across the street from Twin Lakes.
Yeah, which would
Right.
be Beulah Church, I think.
Oh, zoom out?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
There you go. Kind of
Yeah,
gives you an
yeah,
idea where it is.
yeah, now we,
Man's doing his job. Knock
Whoop,
it out.
That's a little big.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
that's a little bit far. But
Well,
it kind of gave me an idea where it was.
too many numbers, there we go.
Yes, sir.
There is a difference between that little square and then you open it up.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Good job.
Okay,
Y'all good?
Yes.
You want me to enlarge it again, or you?
Yeah, you can go back to the house now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, go back to the house. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's good right there, I like that right there.
yeah.
Okay.
So
And your
thank
name,
you.
your name, sir?
Yuri Kerman. Yuri Kerman?
Kerman?
Kerman, yeah.
Kerman, okay, okay.
All right, so I hope that you guys have the comps provided by me, but unfortunately, the county said that that's outside the Weddington High School district. So unfortunately, that was not provided in the instructions, even though it's within 2.5 miles from my house. And actually, it's comparable in terms of lot and in terms of square foot, okay? So I think that the value, it's not much less, but it's less than the county is trying to assess my house. And throwing it aside that it's outside the Weddington School District, even though it's really close to my house, let's talk about the appraised value that the county provided with 3 properties. Out of those 3, 2 of them are within my neighborhood, and the one is like 2.5 miles from my house. Okay? So, and I want to talk about the appraised value per square foot. So, we're not talking about the sold price per square foot, we're talking about the appraised by county per square foot for those comparisons that they provided. So the highest price per square foot for those houses is $298 per square foot, where my house was assessed at $331 per square foot. Okay, which is a difference of $33, taking into consideration the highest of those 3 comparisons. And the county is trying to tell me that that's based on scalability, which means my house is the smallest, which is 2448 square foot. And we're talking about scalability when we compare a 2,500 square foot with 4,500 square foot, but these comparisons are 3,300, so the difference is like 800 square foot. So I don't think that's scalability difference. So that's where my assessment, I'd like to disagree with the value of $331 per square foot, which is higher than actually average in Union County is $223 per square foot, okay? And talking about, I know we're following the rules and, the deadline is for the January 1st, 2025. I think we're here to determine the real value of the house, right? So even though right now we have it 1.5 miles distance from my house is like 3 houses that much less they are selling for, and one is under contract, one is still selling, and one was sold 2 months ago, which is much less. They have 1 acre lot, they have the same, similar, or even slightly bigger square footage, and the price that's sold is much less than the county is trying to assess my house.
Okay.
So if I take the highest price per square foot of the comparisons the county provided, which is $298 per square foot, applying to my house should be worth $743,400. Just because it's slightly bigger, let's say increase it to 310, that's still 768,000, not 820,000 that the county is trying to appraise my house.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my take on that. Then we definitely, by looking, and we live in an unprecedented time, right? So we can find houses that much more expensive, right? But I don't think the sale price is corresponds to the real price, right? That we're trying to be here to determine the real price, not because some people pay more for houses based on a fear of missing out, or low interest rate or investments. But those are different things. And, people pay more because they might like it, but we're trying to determine the real value of the house, not the highest value out there that people pay for to get the prices to pay taxes on, correct? So that's my take on that.
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have questions for you, Mr. Ashcraft.
Yes, did you acquire this property on October the 3rd of 22?
Correct.
You
sir.
bought it brand new, whatever it is, you bought it?
No, it was a second,
Second
there was
time.
an owner before.
Okay, so, but you bought the house
Correct,
for $700,000?
correct.
And these comps you have, they're your comps that you've come up with, and one's in 22, one's in 22, but you do have one in 24. Did you not find any more comps?
Well, I do have more comps.
I mean,
you know, I was trying to, unfortunately, this is the.
They're all just real low. I just didn't know if you had any close around you.
So those are comps that I provided within 2.5 miles from my house.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I
not
just
like-
see all these houses right here on the screen.
Oh, but those are not.
You know, those are the ones I was saying. Have they not sold in the last 3 years? None?
So, the county provided these two comps that county provided are within my neighborhood. One is 3 houses to my right.
Okay,
So the maximum appraised value this time for that house, which is on to the right, 1, 2, 3, that's $298 per square foot. It's slightly bigger. It's 3,300 square foot, but per square foot, it's $298.
okay,
My house is appraised at $331 per square foot.
okay. So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You paid $700 for it in '22,
Right.
and then the last 2 years,
Uh-huh.
3 years, right? Because it's been that long.
Right.
What do you think the house is worth now? Less? On your appeal, it says taxpayer's opinion is $623,950. So what you paid for it in
No, no,
22,
no.
you're oh, it's, do I have the wrong one?
My
Sorry, I
estimate,
got the wrong one.
What?
my
That's what it
estimated
says.
value is
What's the right
700,
one?
754.
I'm okay. Thank you, sir.
754,000.
What's 754?
That's my estimated on that paper.
Okay, so your opinion now is 700 and what?
754, that's what I have on that paper, but, you know,
Okay.
like I said, if you compare with the prices per square foot right now, taken even higher than the appraised value for the comparison,
Yep.
which is, I put the maximum there is 311 per square foot. That still comes up $768,180, and not 820.
Okay, and let me ask you this. So the county has a current value of 820. Your opinion of value is 757,000, is that what you're telling me?
Between 750 and 770,000.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Benchin?
And so, Mr. Uri, the taxpayer opinion of value at $623,985, did you quote that to the county at one point?
Well, that was based on the equally,
Okay, so you did quote that figure at one point.
well, I mean, that was probably the initial one, but.
Okay, we good. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Keefe?
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Carmen, if you would have a seat and we'll hear from the county, okay? And I'll come back to you. Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
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 We figured out the location. So this particular house is in Castellano. It is one of the smaller homes, probably, well, one of the smaller homes in the area, especially when you're looking at sales. I think there were 4 sales from the neighborhood within the past 2 years when I ran my search. That's how many I found. What we did when we did the market analysis report, because of the square footage, we did decide to take 2 of the homes,
Jay,
page 32.
if you will, reference the page number that the comps start on for the,
It's page 32.
32.
So we use comps 1 and 2. They're from the same neighborhood. They are considerably larger. We did make square footage adjustments for that. You know, everything else looks pretty similar as far as acreage, quality. We have them both as average. We have the subject property as average. So in this case, we used 2 in the same community. Then we tried to find something more similar in square footage. And it just, in that area, We did not find a whole lot that was of similar quality, but we did add comps 3 and 4. They adjusted out pretty much in between. One of them was higher, one of them adjusted out in the middle of the two comps 1 and 2. But we came up with a value of 820,700. We felt like we had changed that, I believe, from originally it was 889, and then it was 842,800, and then it was 820,700. We felt like that was kind of the right thing to do on that one.
All right. Questions from the board, Mr. Benson,
No, sir.
Mr. O'Keefe,
No, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Well, I'm just trying to reconcile comp 1 and 2 in the subject, given what y'all say it should be, and then you got these houses that are bigger, and you're saying you're damn near worth the same. I have a problem. I know the price per square foot can change or whatever, but it seems to me that the bigger house has to be worth more. That's just what people pay for, square footage.
Now, it's sold for more.
Which comp are you referring to?
I was looking on page 32, comp 1 and 2, and what y'all worked the numbers down to.
Yeah, those two are in the subject's neighborhood.
Yep,
They are larger than the
Yep.
subject. You adjust them down. One of them was adjusted to 836, the other one was 762.
yep. And the biggest one is just valued fractionally more than the way you do it than the subject, and it just, I'm having a hard time.
The markets aren't always straight line. There's differences in square footage, specifically on a smaller house. I know in a neighborhood, because of the fixed costs, there's a diminishing return on those, the dollar per square foot. There's going to be a range on them. It's not a perfect science, for sure.
The land value on those properties?
The land value was 245 on the subject.
They're gonna be constant.
Yeah, they're all about a half an acre, but this one that's over here to the far right, number 3, is 2.14 acres.
And that's probably in
And you have a
Weddington.
value of just 331,000 for that. So that makes a disbursement of.
Yeah. Is
overall.
comp 3 in Weddington?
You mean it's on Weddington Road?
But you don't know if it's in Weddington or not?
I don't know the exact address, and I'm not sure exactly
Or
what
if it's in the school district,
I'm not
Weddington.
exactly sure.
Or the Weddington School District, which does make a difference.
Is the house in Weddington School District? That's appealing,
No, they're not. They're outside.
okay, that's why I have a question.
Yeah.
You're saying no, you're saying no.
Well, I'm saying comp 3 may well be in the school district.
It is within Weddington School District.
That's
Okay.
in the school district,
Right,
and the appellant is outside the school district.
but the two other comps
Or-
are in the same
Neighborhood,
neighborhood, which would therefore be in the same school district.
yes.
And what is that school district if it's not Weddington?
That'd be Sun Valley.
I have,
Sun Valley.
No, the subject is in Weddington.
The subject is in Weddington.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought
Okay,
he
see, we're
said he
making
was
progress
outside of
here, 'cause we
Weddington.
can-
Yes,
School
the
district.
The subject is in Weddington. The comps are also from the same school district.
Wait,
Yeah, they're all in the same-
I'm confused.
I understand.
comps 1 and 2 are in the same neighborhood,
Yes.
so they would be in the same school district unless there was something really strange. going
Comps
on.
1 and 2 are in the same school district, but
Yes, sir.
I think he stated that he was not in the Weddington School District.
No, he was pulling comps outside of Weddington.
Yes, he was, that's correct. I'm glad you said it.
And that was the issue. That's why we did.
Is the subject property in the Weddington High School School District?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That answer, it's not in the town of Weddington, but it's in the school district?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, I'm clear on that. I was of the understanding that it was not in the school district.
I think the issue, the rub was that, I think the appellant was pulling some comps outside of the Weddington School District, and
Right.
that's what.
That would make a real difference
Yes, sir.
until they rechange things again.
Right. Soon,
Right now.
ever changing.
That's
It does make,
$1,125.
it makes a significant difference.
Mr. Ashcraft, any questions?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay.
I
think
am
we're good
clear.
there. Yeah.
I am clear.
Okay. Thank you, Jake. And, Ms. Carmen, any further statements from you?
Well, nothing, I'm sorry, well, thank you again, but nothing besides that, at this time, at this moment, you know, right around the corner, with 1 acre, with higher finishings, with 3,000 square foot, they're on the market for 775,000, and it's been on the market for a couple of weeks. I'm trying to make, like I said, we're here to determine the real value, and I appreciate, you know, that's what we're trying to establish.
Yeah, and we're having-
And like
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
County said, that there's a variation. We have a lot of, in the neighborhood, people invested, you know, and we're trying to, this is my primary home, right? So we're not talking about like investment or capital gains and all that. So, like I said, some people, we can look closely, and it's not a fixed science, but at the same time, you can find somebody that paid more because, I mean, the daughter lives next door, or they really love the house, or
Okay.
they want to invest it. So we're not comparing apples and apples
Yeah,
in
we
my
got,
mind.
we got you on that.
Right,
We
thank you,
got on
appreciate
that.
it.
Thank you. Okay. All righty. Okay.
Do you guys want to take a 5-minute? That's all of the people that are here, or do you want to keep on rolling through?
Take a 5-minute recess. Okay.
5 minutes?
Yep.
Okay,
Take a
we'll
5-minute
take a
recess.
5-minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The taxpayer's not here. We came to an agreement on a value. They submitted some paperwork late on yesterday, actually, and it was condition related. So based on our initial sales analysis that we pulled, we reduced that value to the 562.7, and then with the condition items that they submitted in their packet, I believe it's probably page 14, we reduced it to 543.3. We just didn't make it in time to make changes to the packets that you receive.
So that's been agreed upon?
It's been agreed upon. We have an agreement email, and it's, we also have a permit where we'll go out and check those items
Okay.
to see the status of completion.
Okay. Any questions on Smith?
I like these.
Mr.
They
Ashcraft?
agreed.
543.3. Okay. Mr. Benson, any questions?
No, I think
Okay.
she did a great job.
Thank you, Ms. Chastain.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we technically need to vote that or not?
We'll just cover them all.
At the end.
Right, yeah.
Well, I guess we're gonna start with, is it not 10? Yeah, we'll start.
So that'll be book 2, right?
All right, so we're going to go to, that is correct, hearing number 10, which will be in notebook 2, tab 1. This is for property key number 06162700. The taxpayer is Waxaw Ladder 14 LLC,
That's above my weight.
and they are not
limit to pick
present.
up.
Okay.
They're not present, but the representative that's the next, we're gonna do 3 Lowe's properties.
Okay.
What are we doing?
They're not present, but they would like to have their information presented. It's in your packets, and I'll refer to each one
Just take them one at a
individually.
time, right?
One at a time.
Okay.
And
Where
so-
are we?
This is the Lowe's in Waxhaw, this Kensington Road and South Providence Highway
Hold on just a
16.
second. You get book 2, Tom?
Yeah, I got book
Yeah.
2. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure which one we were on. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Yep.
Hearing aids don't do but so good.
Sorry, Mr. Hunter,
Are
go
y'all
ahead.
hearing me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, about 600 feet north of the intersection of Kensington and Providence Road. The Waxhaw Lowe's is classified as a discount warehouse store. It's 141,648 square feet, built 2008, 14.5 acres. We currently have it appraised at $14,267,700, which is $100.72 per square foot. I believe the appellant, their information starts on page 14, what they're presenting. Basically, what I have and what I'm going to speak to starts on page, I believe, 61. And that should be the comparables that we have. I found 14 sales. We have 13 that are Lowe's properties and 1 Home Depot. They range anywhere from $9 million to $25 million. The median dollar per square foot is $124 per square foot on my sales. We are appraised at $100 a square foot.
So the median was what again? 124?
124. The median value on these properties was $16.6 million, and we're at $14,267,700. So that was one of the major reasons that we did not see our way to changing the value. Also, in 2021, we hired out the MAI, Damon Bidencoat, to appraise this property, and he appraised it for
$12,100,000 for 2021. It was 4 years ago. So if you take the $12,100,000 and you run it up to what we have now, that's about a 15% increase or 3.75% a year. So that's the other reason that we did not feel like we should make the change. In addition, they have presented an appraisal that was using a cap rate of 8.5%. And looking at my comps, it indicate a median cap rate of 5.2%. So that's a huge difference in the value. So that's the third reason we did not feel like we should make a change.
Okay. Questions for the county, Mr. O'Keefe?
Capitalization
The
rate.
capitalization rate is it's a rate that's determined from using the income that's generated from that type of property. So the lower the cap rate, the higher the value, because you take the cap rate and divide it into what the income would be.
Okay. Mr. Benson? Okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Smith?
I do have a question. I've been out of the banking business for a few years, but a 5-odd% cap rate's what we saw back when interest rates were really low, and the rates have gone up. 8 may be excessive, but somewhere in between would seem a more reasonable cap rate in today's market.
These cap rates that came from this were based on the sale price. So we get our information from CoStar, and those were the cap rates that were reported at the time of sale, so they would be an indicator. We had cap rates that were lower. The highest cap rate of all the comps that I've got, and they're, like I say, starting on page 61 if you want to look at them, the highest cap rate we even had was 7.
Okay.
So that's...
I was thinking more honestly, given the rates, in the 6.5 range, something like that, but that's just based on current rates from
Right.
knowing from past experience, let's put it that
Right.
way. Yeah, 8 would be unreasonable,
Or 8.5 in
or
this
whatever
case.
it was.
Yeah.
Over 8.
Right.
Mr. Ashcraft?
No question.
Okay. All right. With that, we move on to the next one, Mr. Hunter. Probably gonna be about the same thing on each one of them, isn't it? And,
So the next one will be hearing number 11. This will be for property key numbers 07-06-911-8C. This is for Lowe's Home Centers, Inc., and they are not present.
So is this tab 2?
yes. Yeah, tab 2,
This will
notebook 2.
be, yes, Finder 2, Tab 2.
All right, this is the Lowe's that's located Indian Trail. It's got frontage on Wesley Chapel Stouts Road and has access to Highway 74 with frontage along that as well. This is also warehouse discount store, built 2008, 140,756 square feet, 16.3 acres. We have valued at $14,120,100, which is $100.31 per square foot, almost identical to the prior. We also had an appraisal done in '21 by MAI for $12,430,000. The value we have now represents a 3% a year increase from that value. Use the exact same comps, $124 a square foot median, we're at 100, 16.6 million, we're at 14.1. So we did, and the same applies for the cap rates, everything that, basically the same information that we used for the first one, I'm relying on for this one and the upcoming.
Questions, Mr. Ashcraft?
None.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Benson?
No,
Mr. O'Keefe? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
All right, we are going to do hearing number 12 13, 14, and 15 all together, because they are one under the Lowe's Home Center. So that will start on your notebook 2, tab number 3. This will be for property key numbers 09216076A. Also for property key number 09216077A. And property key number 09216078. And lastly, property key number 09216088. And they are not here.
All right, what we have here is 4 parcels that make up the Lowe's site. And so that's why we're kind of here, we're doing them all together. They're individually valued because that's the way they're set up. So what I'm going to do is kind of speak to all of the parcels as a whole rather than individually. On these, and if you look on your map, the 4 parcels is the one that of course, that the building's sitting on, and then the building crosses over to the right. It crosses into 76A, and then back to the rear of the building and to the right is parcel 78, which is additional acreage. And then also to the left of the building, we have parcel 77A, which runs along the back and wraps around along the side of the building. So we're going to talk about all 4 of them collectively. Of course, there's another discount warehouse store, 139,884 square feet, built in 1999. It sits, this is a larger acreage tract. It sits on 26.378, a combination of all 4 parcels. So that gives it a value, if you tally up all of those together, we're at a value of $15,915,200. So that's $113.77 a square foot for the collective. I relied on the same information. We're at 113, medians at 124. We're at 15.9, medians at 16.6. So we really didn't, for the very same reasons we didn't change the other 2, they apply to this one as well.
And was an MAI appraisal done on this one too?
Yes, it was. It's
Yeah, you might-
12,100,000.
Same,
And so,
same thing.
Yeah, he was roughly within a few $100,000 on
Right,
each
okay.
one.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Hunter, Mr. O'Keefe? None. Yeah, Mr. Benson?
No, that's no zone.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Now, explain to me again these other, the several other parcels, where they are located. I just want to be 100% clear on that.
Okay, if you're looking at the front of the building, look to the very right-hand corner
There's a building
of the
there.
building. That's an additional parcel. That's 76A.
Okay,
Okay? Then if you go back behind the building and to the right, there's a pond back there.
yep,
That's 78.
okay,
Okay? And then if you look to the left of the building and to the very rear of the building, it juts out over into another parcel. That's 77A.
okay,
So basically, you're looking at
yeah.
this whole big area here.
Be cleaner if that was all blue lines.
It would.
Yeah.
I don't have any way to, I mean,
That's
I
fine.
That's all right.
I can probably, I mean, I can,
No, we're good, I think.
No, I
Yeah,
wanted to
we're-
be 100%
job.
clear.
No, you made
Okay.
it good.
The other ones were the same way, so,
It's understandable.
okay. No additional questions?
No, just
Okay.
screwy how they had the land broke up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
All right, we will go back to the beginning. We will start with hearing number 1. This is for property key numbers 01051009A. The taxpayers are Fred and Brenda Dillon, and they are not here.
Okay, so we're now in the deliberation
book
phase as
one?
well?
Yep, book 1.
No, we haven't heard this one yet.
Hadn't heard it, okay.
So it's a no-show.
Okay.
And
That is correct. But we have not called this one yet, so we're not ready to deliberate yet.
Okay.
We're just starting back over. 'cause
Okay,
we-
so
we-
we'll just note that it's a no-show?
Yes,
Okay.
we started with hearing number 2.
Okay, gotcha, sorry about that.
Do you want to see the property or have the
Uh,
county,
If they're not here, I don't know.
the taxpayers?
no.
Okay.
We'll just note that it's a no-show.
That is
Okay.
correct. Hearing number 5 is for property key number 01201014. This is for, owners are Philney and Annie Purser. They are also not present today.
Okay. So we'll note that as a no-show.
And then we have hearing number 6, which is property key number 06165461. They are for Charlene and David Cox and Charlene Bryan. They are not present today,
Okay, so we'll note hearing 6 as a no-show.
correct? Then we will jump to hearing number 8 for property key number 06198101 for taxpayers Alexander and Julia Noskova. They are also not present today.
Okay. Noted as a no-show.
Correct. Then we will go to hearing number 16. This is going to be your staff recommendations that have been settled, so that'll be on your spreadsheet.
Tab 7.
it's tab 7 in book 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, notebook 2, tab 7. So these are staff recommendations that they have reached a settlement with the taxpayers of the value.
Okay.
And then we have hearing number 17. That will be your addendum B with your next spreadsheet, which will be tab 8 of notebook 2. These are all without consent, but the taxpayers have been notified of the value and what the county has come up with for those. They just did not respond. So you will see there are several of those, so you guys
Right.
can look through that.
Okay. This is similar to what we dealt with. Boy, there's a lot of them here, but this is what we dealt with at the last meeting too.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. I got you on that.
All right. And then 18 and 19, as discussed prior, this is going to be from an amendment from our previous meeting, which was held on June 26th session. So for hearing number 18, that was for Adler Trust for property key number 0509007H. This was the value that was listed on our addendum at that time without agreement just was listed incorrectly, so we have made a fix on the county's behalf. So when we go into that phase, we will just need a motion on that one to correct the value. And then hearing number 19 is the same. This will be an amended motion to be made from the previous value. That was for taxpayer Daniel Redmond for property key number 09345124. And this is just going to be a change that was not agreed upon, but we did have it listed incorrectly on the addendum. So we can do that later as well.
Okay.
And that concludes the call of all of the hearings, and then we can move into the deliberation phase.
Okay. So we'll now move into the deliberation phase if everybody's ready. So, okay. So will you be calling those as we go, Madam Clerk? Okay, so we're ready, I think.
All right.
All right.
I think I'm ready too. It's a
Okay.
lot to write down. All right, so we will just start back over with hearing number 1.
Okay.
As we know, they were not present. This was for property key number 01051009A for Brenda and Fred Dillon. They were not present.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we accept the county's value.
So I have a
Second.
motion from Mr. Ashcraft, a second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried.
All right, we will move to hearing number 2. This was for Richard Philman. This was for the first property key number for 0111007A. This was for the 32 acres in the house. This was the first discussion that we had.
Mr. Chairman, on this one, I make a motion, we accept the county's value.
I second that.
So I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft, a second from Mr. Benson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the value to remain at the current value.
All right, that'll move us to hearing number 3, which was for property key number 01114004, also for property owner Richard Philman. This property was for the 16.77 acres that was below the first property that was discussed here today.
So what's the pleasure of the board on this one?
Make a motion to accept, to uphold the county's value.
Okay, so I have a motion from Mr. Benson. Second from Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion is carried for the value to remain at the current value of $845,000.
That'll bring us to hearing number 4 for property key number 01060013A. This was for taxpayers Sean and Rodney Simpson. This is the one that they did present their case today, and their opinion of value did change to $199,650.
This is the one that I wanted to know, the value of the assessed values of the property above each one. To
Yeah.
get an idea of what everybody is. I know everything's in the floodplain and all that stuff, but just, I don't know if they had time to get it, but it would just help me know.
Yeah. What was your question there?
To get the assessed values of surrounding properties to this one that's on.
Kind of on a
being
per
appealed,
acre basis?
to make sure equalization is done throughout that area.
Right.
And I don't know if y'all provided that, or we'll just have to table it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Until they can provide that for me, because I don't want to.
Okay, so do I have that in a motion
I
from
make a
you?
motion to table it until we get that data.
Well, I'd also like to know the acreage in that little section out in the creek.
Yeah. I think the customer mapped it, but we probably need to have the county map it. The customer had it
county
mapped
needs
at
to
about
map
5
it.
acres or something, if I remember right.
Verify the floodplain, but I think we ought to include that little section that's kind of stranded out there as floodplain.
And so I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft to table it
Until we get,
and have the county give us an approximate mapped area of that spot there that's not in the floodplain, and then comparable data of the surrounding properties.
especially going up and out, the other.
They shouldn't be paying any more than them, I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Do you have a request on how far out? You want the ones that touch it, or you want to go 2 parcels out?
Yeah, two, if you could,
Okay.
just gather up.
Okay.
Because you know where that floodplain runs.
Mhm.
So everybody has a little touch of it. What did the county do as percent of this section of 5 acres?
I'm still kind of hung up a little bit on the topography of it with those tight lines and stuff in there, and it's going to always be farmland. And
Except for
when we have a
cliff.
discussion, do we adjust more for the topo or that flood, or, both?
I don't know.
This
Unless
one's
you
got
want a
both.
topo map.
This one's got both in it.
Yeah, it's got both, so I mean, I think we can just discuss those 3 points, if we could just have some notes, so we'll kind of remember what our discussion points, need to be. Would be the surrounding properties, that small area of flood that we think's flood, that's not labeled
Yeah.
flood, and the topography of it. So that's in the
Ac-
form,
Acreage in that steep slope is what you're asking for?
yeah, where those tight lines are.
Yeah.
So that's, I believe, in a.
I would agree to that.
So I have a motion on the table to table this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, like sign, so motion is carried to table hearing 4.
Yes, and the county will get you all that information that you requested.
And note what their opinion of value has changed to $199,650.
That is correct.
Okay.
The taxpayer's opinion of value was the $199,650 as
Right, okay.
presented today.
Okay. All right,
That'll move us to hearing number 5 for property key number 01-201014. This is for taxpayers Oscar and Annie Purser, who were not present today.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the county's value on the property.
Second.
motion from Mr. Ashcraft, a second from Mr. Benchin. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. So motion is carried for the value to remain at the current value of $517,300.
Right, hearing number 6, property key number 06165461. Taxpayers David Cooks and Charlene Bryan, who were not present today.
Mr. Chairman, motion to accept the county's value.
Okay, so I have a motion from Mr. Benchin,
Second.
second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the current value to remain at $721,200.
Hearing number 7 was for property key number 06192533. For taxpayers were Alexandria Tokarivia. This was where the county did reach a settlement with the taxpayer as of yesterday, so there is an agreement of value there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we accept the county's new value of $543,300 that they approved.
Second.
So I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft, a second from Mr. Benchin. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the staff recommendation of $543,300.
All right, that brings us to hearing number 8 for property key number 06198101. Taxpayers Julia and Alexander Noskova.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the county's value.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Benchin, a second from Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion is carried for the current value to remain at $637,000.
All right, hearing number 9 was for property key number 06069342. This was for taxpayer Hollyhock 1 Revocable Living Trust and Hollyhock 2 Revocable Living Trust. And Mr. Yuri Carmen was here to present today. And his opinion of value did change from what is listed to between $754,000 to $770 was his opinion of value.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information provided, I make a motion we accept the current value that the county has on it of $820,700.
I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft,
Second.
second from Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I'll say this, I think that number is too high.
Yeah.
Honestly, given that the size of that house, it should not be valued almost the same as 800 or 900 square foot larger.
Yeah.
And that causes me real heartburn.
Yeah. The,
Are they in the same school district?
They're side-by-side houses, almost. 800 or 900 square foot, that's just,
Okay.
to me, seems,
yeah, part of it, I mean, their per square foot number goes up because it's a smaller house.
I know,
mean,
but it's,
yeah.
you can't value a 800 square foot house smaller, virtually the same as one that's that
But
much
wouldn't it still
bigger.
be one of the cheapest in the
I just
neighborhood?
have a very difficult time doing that.
So what do you think the assessed value should be?
I was thinking more in the 800,000 even range. It'd be kind of between the two different numbers of the houses in the neighborhood that they valued in there.
And that's based on a gut feel.
Well, it is a gut feel.
Okay.
It's nothing but a gut feel.
I still kind of look on the county's comps, comp 1 and 2, with what
I'm kind of
1
looking
and,
at between the two.
yeah, I'm looking at what they sold for. I mean, comp 1 sold for $926,000, comp 2 sold for $860,000.
Still the cheapest house in the neighborhood.
I mean, they adjusted them down to that number, you know, at the bottom of
Yeah.
836 to 762. And I reckon that's kind of where you're coming from.
That's where I'm coming
Yeah.
from. Because they adjusted down, and I would split the difference, basically.
What's
And I'm
the-
not
what-
sure
what's
the
the
round
page number
difference
on that?
is.
Mr. Chairman, what's the page number on that?
That was tab
32,
9.
page 32 with the
30.
red
Tab
number.
9, notebook 1.
Yeah,
Tab 9, book 1.
but it's page 32.
Let me do some quick ciphering here, if I can even read these numbers.
I tried the math here.
Make sure I'm reading these numbers right.
This might be right in front of me, and I'm just not
I
seeing
mean, if
it.
I just took those,
Well, I mean,
if I
okay.
took those two numbers, added them together and divided by 2, you get 799, 475.
I know, but didn't they sell for 926? On 5/20/24, the property sold for $926,000. And it's 3,100 square feet or whatever it is.
It's a
30
good bit bigger house.
Well, I mean, we
32.
can probably have the county look, what's the actual tax value on comp 1 and comp 2? I mean, can we look at that? That 240 Hollyhock and 211 Hollyhock, I mean, it's got the land value, but unless I'm just
The
looking
land
right at
value's
it.
$250 for all of them.
Yeah, 245.
245, whatever.
But I mean,
But if I
From
just
an-
took
from an
the
equity-
adjusted value of those two houses and added them, divided by 2, you get basically $800,000 as an adjusted value, and they're two comps in the same neighborhood.
but I think
I
we
don't
need.
get it. I don't. it's- I need somebody to explain to me, as you put it,
Yeah.
you know, this is based on 2 sales and the adjustment, okay?
Yeah,
But I just want to know what the assessed values for those 2 properties are.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
And
same-
then you gotta adjust them down from there.
yeah. Well, I mean, unless
Because
they're
they're
all in
bigger.
line, they could be in line from a value standpoint. Have you got them in front of you, Mr. Neal? Is it something we could look up pretty quick?
So we can continue on, I can get someone to go pull those real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. Why don't we get those values on those 2 properties? Those are the only 2 that were in the same neighborhood, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they're right down the street from
Yeah.
each other. Same builder, same quality, just different size.
Go get the assessed value for the market value. 25.
Yeah, 240 Hollyhock and 211 Hollyhock. Thank
So
you, Jay.
We do have a motion and a second already, so you need to
Yeah, that's what I was getting
rescind
ready
that,
to.
and before we move to the next
Okay.
one. If we're gonna deliberate, we're gonna have to take that
So we
motion and
can
second
just,
off.
yeah.
Rescind my motion.
So I have a motion to
I mean,
rescind.
Rescind the-
Yeah.
Is that it?
Is that all you need to do?
That's fine.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So we'll come back to
So
that.
we will come back to that
I'll
one,
just say that.
as we continue on. All right,
Coming back to 9.
all right, so now we will move on to hearing number 10, which was for property key number 06162700. This was for the taxpayer Waxaw Ladder 14 LLC, who was not here today.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to uphold the county's value.
So I have a motion from Mr. Benchin for the current value to remain.
Second.
Second from Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the current value to remain at $14,267,700.
All right, hearing number 11 was for property key number 07069118C. This was for Lowe's Home Centers, who are not here today.
Make a motion to accept the county's value on hearing number 11.
Second.
Have a motion for Mr. Ashcraft, a second for Mr. Benchin. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried for the current value to remain on hearing 11 at $14,120,100.
All right, we will move to hearing number 12. Just a reminder, we did hear hearing 12, 13, 14, 15 as one because of the property key, but we will have to vote on them individually. So we will go to hearing number 12 first. This is for the property key 09216076A.
Make a motion to uphold the county's value, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Second. Have a motion from Mr. Bench and a second from Mr. Ashcraft. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so the motion's carried for the value on hearing 12 to remain at $993,000.
All right, hearing number 13 was for property key number 09216077A for Lowe's Home Centers, Inc.
Make a motion to uphold, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion from Mr. Benchin for the current value to remain.
Second.
Second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so the motion carries for the current value to remain on hearing 13 at $1,854,300.
Hearing 14, property key number 09216078 for Lowe's Home Centers, Inc.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board here?
Make a motion, we accept the county's value.
Have a
Second.
motion from Mr. Ashcraft, a second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so the motion's carried for the current value to remain on hearing 14 at $2,233,200.
Hearing 15 is for property key number 09216088 for Lowe's Home Centers, Inc., number 88, who was not here today.
What's the pleasure of the board here?
Make a motion to accept county's
Second.
valuation.
Well, I have a motion from Mr. Smith, a second from Mr. Benchin. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so the motion's carried for the current value to remain on hearing 15 at $10,834,700.
Hearing number 16, this was for the addendum A, so this was the staff recommendations that have been settled between the county and the taxpayers.
Make a motion, we accept the values.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Hearing 16.
I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft for the staff recommendations to be accepted as presented,
Second.
and a second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried. And
All right.
then, yeah.
Hearing number 17 is for your addendum B. So this is going to be for the for the consent where the county did notify the taxpayers, but we did not hear back from them, so it's a non-agreed upon value, but what they have been notified in writing of the values.
Motion to accept the consent, Mr. Chairman.
So I have a motion from Mr. Benchin to accept items as presented in the consent agenda. Second from Mr. Ashcraft. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So that motion's carried for those values to remain.
All right, hearing number 18 is the amendment to the previous hearing day session on June 26th on the previous motion to approve the value. So if a board member can just make a motion to amend that, then we can vote on that.
Motion to amend, Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute.
That's number 18.
Oh, that's me, this
So
one?
that's what, yes, sir. I need you to
Okay, I
do that.
move to amend the consent agenda motion passed on 6/26/25 by striking out the value of $1,839,800 listed on the current valuation for parcel number 050900007H and inserting the value of $1,661,400.
So I have that in a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second from Mr. Benchin. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried for the amendment to be accepted.
All right, hearing 19 is going to be the same. This is going to be to amend the previous motion that was made on June 26th. This is for taxpayer Daniel
I'm with you
Redmond.
now.
Yeah.
Property key number
Sorry.
09345124.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I move to amend the consent agenda motion passed on 6/26/25 by striking out the value of the $299,600 listed under current valuation for parcel number 09345124 and inserting the value of $264,700.
Okay. So then, that's the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Benson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the amendment.
All right, so that takes us to the end of that one before we circle back around to the other one. So if you guys just want to wait till we get the information that you asked for the
Okay.
other hearing number.
Okay.
Well,
Circling back to 9.
Yeah, we'll come back.
my car's parked in a 2-hour parking.
Yeah, me too. They ought to give us a little pass. I guarantee you, we're gonna have a ticket.
I am too.
That guy doesn't miss much. He was sitting out there waiting on me when I pulled up.
I've gotten a few.
I think last time I just went straight to the drive.
All right, so we
Ready.
will come back to hearing number 9, which was for property key number 06069342.
All right, we have the two sales, comps 1 and 2, 240 Hollyhock Drive, Matthews, parcel number 06069339. The tax value is $1,016,000. Wow. 211 Hollyhock Drive, 06069352. The assessed value on that is $995,400.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's way up there.
yeah.
Okay, then I guess the question is, if you look at those assessed values and the size differential, where would that knock down into where your assessed range is?
Yeah, if you do.
That's what I'm trying to figure.
It does.
The
If
square
it-
foot difference.
The square footage, the larger it is, the more it is. Is that not correct? If you had the one, comp number 1, 3,
Yeah, in that case, yeah, the larger it is,
Yeah.
the larger the tax value is. Now, it may not go up of the same percentage or the same number.
Yeah.
Because
The
of the
smaller
lot
the
value.
home,
I know.
generally,
The higher per square foot.
the higher per square foot they
Right.
sell for, with all the factors remaining the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the county's value of, what is it, 820?
700.
82700.
827, 700, whatever it was.
So I have a motion from Mr. Ashcraft for the value to remain at $8,2700.
Second.
And a second from Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried for the value to remain on hearing 9 at
I got
$8,2700.
satisfied.
What I mean, that's what I said.
That's what you wanted to
Taxes,
understand.
Taxes, assessment. So
Yeah.
anybody, the surrounding property.
All right, so that concludes all the hearings today.
All righty.
Excellent.
So our next meeting is next Wednesday, correct?
Is it really next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Let's keep it at below 2 hours.
Next Wednesday, I'll be
Or I
at
have
the
to find
beach.
somewhere else.
You'll be at the beach. Okay.
Yep.
So
Family
Tom won't be
vacation.
here. Everybody else here next
Yeah,
Wednesday?
back. You feel good?
Check it now, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
My wife's going on Sunday,
Oh, okay,
and
good.
I gotta stay for town council on
Okay.
Monday.
Okay.
And I was going down
Didn't leave
Tuesday
after that.
morning, then we gotta come back Saturday.
Are we
So
still on, or-
I'm missing half the trip as it
Okay.
is.
So need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion.
I'll do a second.
You'll do, and Mr. Ashcraft's going to do a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So we are adjourned.
Standing, Mr. Chairman.
Next meeting will be the 16th, next Wednesday.
You're not gonna be
I
here.
will not be here.
About the same. Never know how many's going to show.
Well, let me ask you this. Are we gonna have 2 notebooks?
Probably.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.